Hello and welcome to WTNB Today. I'm Wendy Benton, your host. Thank you for joining me. It's that time of year again. The Christmas season is just around the corner, and my special guest today is Jake Stum. He's the Assistant Director at People for Care and Learning, and we're going to talk about Buy a Tree, Change a Life.
We are. It seems like yesterday I was here talking about this last year.
It does.
Can't believe it.
Time flies.
Yes, ma'am.
Jake, thank you for joining me. You're here for to talk about Buy a Tree, Change a Life, but this is a bigger organization than just what you guys do, selling trees in Cleveland.
It is. It's a fascinating thing that's happening. 4 years ago, a friend of ours who had been to Cambodia with us several times, and he's a pastor in Miami, Florida, he had a family in his church that decided to go to do an international adoption. And it got down to the last couple of weeks, and they had to have about $20,000. And they went to Travis and said, you know, pray for us. We don't know what to do. And Travis announced to his church to pray for this family. They needed a large amount of money quickly, and you know, just that the Lord would bring it to them. And one of the ladies in the church had randomly ordered a tractor trailer full of Christmas trees for the city of Miami for some reason, and it wasn't going to work out. So she said, hey, I've got these Christmas trees coming. We can sell them and use the profit. So they got a bunch of volunteers. The truck arrived the next day, and in 3 weeks they sold, I think, 600 Christmas trees and raised all $20,000 for this family to do their international adoption. Wow. So that was exciting to them. But then Travis, the pastor there, had an idea. He made this into its own 501c3 organization, and the next year he got 5 other locations to sell trees, and then that's the year they partnered with People for Care and Learning and allowed 85% of the profit from the trees to come to our organization to support what we're doing in Cambodia, and then each location got to put 15% of the profit back to a nonprofit in their city. And then it's grown, so this year we have 20 locations around the United States, all the way from Bend, Oregon to Miami, Florida, and up the East Coast. There's locations everywhere. So all 20 locations are selling, and we're hoping to raise a significant amount of money, hopefully around $250,000. And 85% of that will go to Cambodia to help what we're doing over there with children, with our orphanages and some of our work we're doing with education. And then each location also keeps 15% locally to put back into a nonprofit in their local town. So it's really neat to see there's just this movement happening, and they actually had more, it's mostly churches. We're the only site that's not connected to a local church. So they had more churches request to be involved, but they capped it at 20 this year. So they're hoping next year to have 40 or maybe even 60 locations around America of people selling trees. So it's always starts around Thanksgiving and goes for 3 weeks. So that 3-week period of time helps us raise awareness and money, and it's a great partnership between Buy a Tree and People for Care and Learning. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a blessing. And then the trees, are they from one specific grower, or do you partner with the tree growers like across the country?
This year we were able to we basically buy all the trees from one farm in North Carolina, and we freight shipped them to all 20 locations. But we pretty much took all the trees he had available. Yes. So next year we'll have to start partnering with other farms and growers and developing those relationships. But we've been fortunate to use the same farm for the last 4 years. But next year with our growth, we'll have to figure out some other places to buy the trees. But
right.
I think they're the best trees. Of course, I'm biased, but they're fresh cut the day they ship them. They cut them that morning and ship them out to all of our locations. Fraser Firs from North Carolina. So it's they're really great trees.
Well, and that's wonderful that you've got someone there willing to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that helps him too.
Yeah, it was a really neat story. He I'll make it short, but he told the story of one day he was frustrated with his career and didn't know if growing trees and selling them really made a difference. And he said he was out on his mountain overlooking all his trees and praying and saying, man, I really wish something good. You know, I want to do something good with my life, and I don't feel like this is necessarily something great. And the next day, Travis showed up from Miami and asked if he could buy all of his trees for Buy a Tree, Change a Life. So it's a really neat story how all that came together.
That is such a God thing. That's
absolutely
wonderful. Well, the location here is on the Greenway.
It is. So we are set up across from Cleveland High School at the Greenway Park, and we have a lot of trees displayed this year, and we're selling now, and we'll be selling all the way until December 13th unless we sell out before then. So we sold about 100 trees since last Wednesday, and we have 300 trees. So we're on pace to sell out. So if people want a tree, they need to get over there and get it before we make sure we have their size they want, and also make sure we still have trees left. So we're hoping that they sell out this year.
Now, what are the price ranges?
They start at 4 to 5 foot tree, and those start at $35, and it goes up by $10 every foot. So 4 to 5, and then there's 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and we go all the way up to 11 to 12 foot trees.
Okay. Well, and that's very reasonable. You know, people are used to buying, especially real trees.
Right.
That's a good price.
Yeah, it is. Especially now, we're competitive to most of the other places in town that sell trees. There's not another tree stand as far as we know, but you know, Lowe's and Home Depot and those places, we're competitive with them. And then our trees have a really good purpose too. So
yes, right, right. Buy a tree, change a life.
That's right.
Why don't you give us an update on Cambodia?
Sure. So the reason we do these tree sales is to fund our projects in Cambodia, and People for Care and Learning. We've been working over there for over a decade. We have lots of projects. The Build a City project's the biggest one that people around this area know about, and the construction is almost complete there, and that's going well. The tree sales specifically go to children, work with children globally and locally. So our children and our children's homes goes to their education, provide clothing and food and operate our children's homes. And then also we teach English to around 400 or 500 Cambodian young adults every year. In their country, if you can learn English, because the tourism industry is exploding, so if you can learn English, you can automatically triple your income by being a waitress or a waiter or working in a hotel or in interpreting for Westerners and foreign language speakers. So we strongly believe in English education. So we put tons of children through to teach English in our English learning program. So most of the money from the trees goes to that. So our learning centers and our children's home, Build a City, and our integrated farm is still going great and growing. And then we also have our Common Grounds Cafe that we run. But the money from the tree farm goes specifically to the learning centers and the children's homes.
Okay. Now, the orphanages that are there, are those the only children that you're educating, or is this anyone in that area?
No, we spend a lot of our energy and effort with the kids in our children's homes and our orphanages. So we have about 45 kids that are our PCL kids. And in Cambodia, you can't adopt. So once a kid comes to our orphanage, we make a commitment to them for the rest of their lives. So our commitment to our kids includes, helping them pay for and go to university, and even after they're out of university, make sure they're self-sustained adults, and just like you would your kids. That's the way we view our kids. So the ones that we've had since they were 4, now some of them are going to university for the first time this year. So we feel a commitment to help them go to university, and they contribute to their college account as well, but we help pay for that. So a significant amount of our budget goes to sustaining these kids and making sure they are going to school and they're educated. But outside of that, we also educate hundreds additional children from the village that surrounds our orphanage in Siem Reap, Cambodia, and the village that surrounds our orphanage in Phnom Penh. We have different avenues to teach English. So those are the primary ways that we educate children in Cambodia.
Okay, and I was actually going to ask you about adoption in Cambodia. I think you've told me that before, that they don't allow it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The country of Cambodia would have to align with an international convention that has rules that you have to abide by in order to allow your kids in your country to qualify for international adoption. And Cambodia has yet to abide by these policies. So every year they say they're going to, and they're making headway. So there could be, in the next year or two, the possibility that it opens up for international adoption. But as of right now, and for the last 5 years, they haven't been willing to abide by these policies, so it remains closed. But Angelina Jolie is the only one that I'm aware of that she's adopted from Cambodia. So I
That's
guess if
true,
you have a certain
yes.
amount of prestige or money, anything can happen. But
Right.
yeah, but for us common people, it's impossible.
Right. Well, and what a need that you, you know, maintain the education and give them housing and, you know, a quality of life for the rest of their life if they have no other way out.
Yeah. One of the things, we've taken hundreds of people over to Cambodia, and one of the satisfying things for me is every time we take a team, what they will say inevitably when we leave is, your PCL kids are different than any other kids that they interact with when they're in Cambodia. And I think it's because our kids believe in a future. They are so well taken care of. They're well prepared for life. They just have a completely different mindset because they've been raised in such a nurturing environment. And I think, again, I'm biased, but I think we've got the best orphanage or children's home, whatever that I've ever seen, that I've ever witnessed. It's a really incredible place to see and to visit, and it really is family. So it's my pride and joy. It's the thing I love most about our organization.
Yes. Now, are you allowed to teach them about Christ?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially inside our orphanage. Part of our process is they have Bible study daily in our orphanage, and they all go to church together. And so the Christ piece is very important to us, and it's really ingrained in them, and they're very well discipled. And even in our English learning centers that are outside of our orphanage, you know, we will oftentimes use the Bible as the way to practice English. So they'll read passages from the Bible to practice their English, and that leads to questions, and we're able to share our faith. So we do have those unique abilities being over there teaching English.
That's great. Well, it's an even better way to instill that hope for their future.
Absolutely.
And you all are doing a fabulous job. And I don't want our audience to forget to go buy their tree
Yes,
at
please.
Greenway Park. Buy a tree, change a life. And Jake is there with his staff and selling trees
Every day.
Every day until the middle of December.
That's
So
right.
I know I have family that waits until the last minute, and they get the trees that are picked over. So make sure you get out there this week and get your tree. Jake, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us as well. And we will see you next time on WTNB Today.